Okay, this is going to be a lot of fun, and we've got a couple of people who will help lead you through this. Bob Adney, I'll introduce in a second, and Greg Keel. And so this is the equipment we're able to use. When we built this building, we thought ahead as much as we could at that point in time. It's a 5-year-old building now, and we cabled everything that we could because it was much less expensive to do it at that point. We also went wireless everywhere we could. But we're able to take this monitor and this system with video and with audio and plug it in. We could plug it into literally every single room in the building. And we have 10 gigabit wiring in this building, and so it just runs out our cables, runs out a T1, and then is accessible really anywhere in the world. This Maury initiative that I mentioned, or MacPhail Online Residency, is started about a year ago, and we were able to connect with a group called Minnesota River Valley Education District, kind of out Highway 12 west.
We have a couple people who are probably familiar.
Okay.
This is my community. I'm reading Why Me, yeah.
Yeah.
Medicine East,
Okay.
in the elementary, yes.
Fantastic. So it's a consortium of about 15 school districts. We are partnering right now with 8 different schools for this project. It's supported by legacy funding from the amendment passed about 3 years ago. And so a project grant that helps us provide 600 hours of instruction from this building to 8 schools out in western Minnesota. We're very excited with the results that we've achieved over the first 3 months, which were March, April, and May of last school year, and now we're just starting out this school year. We have about 500 hours to go in that whole project. So now I'd like to introduce Bob Adney, who is a colleague of mine. We're both percussionists, but we won't go into that today. We won't make any of you play the drums. And Bob has been here for more than 35 years at MacPhail, and during that time, Bob has achieved a lot of things. One of the things he's really great at is all of his relations with school music educators. And so this program is an enhancement to schools. It's a resource to schools. And Bob develops those relationships in just excellent ways. And so as he works with all of the schools, we're doing this to fit their needs and to help them out. And then the community will see, what a great music program they have in the community, and it has a connection with MacPhail, who's helping them get there. So I'll turn it over to Bob, and he'll tell us a little bit about what we're going to see today.
Thank you, Paul. Well, it's my pleasure to be here this morning, and I am the, project director or lead teacher of this particular program. We're connecting with 8 different schools, and one of the things that we're doing is just really enhancing the school's music program. We're being a resource to the schools, and we're doing the very traditional standard lessons that schools like to have. So in other words, instrument-specific sectional work. So a trombone virtuoso from MacPhail is working with trombone students at the different high schools, or the trombone instructor from MacPhail is working with the trombone students. So specific instrumental sectionals, we do clinics, group lessons is another aspect of what we're doing, working with the school's contest music, and today you're seeing one of our artists work with the jazz band. So this is something else that we do, not only the instrument-specific sectional, but one of our teachers is a great jazz band player and artist, and so we're able to then do that session for this particular school. Just a little bit more about our artist today, and his name is Greg Keel. He's had 32 years plus of experience teaching saxophone, clarinet, and jazz flute. And he has performed with really a lot of the who's who people that you can think of. Aretha Franklin, the OJs, Natalie Cole, Johnny Mathis, Fifth Dimension, Frankie Valli, Lou Rawls, and I literally could go on and on. Greg has had some of the finest students here, and they frequently will be participating in the Minnesota All-State Bands and Jazz Orchestras. Greg is also an artist clinician for Selmer saxophones, and was 2-term vice president of the Minnesota chapter of the International Association for Jazz Education. He holds a bachelor's degree from Concordia University. He has a master's degree in progress. That's actually been in his bio for quite a while now. He has also studied at the University of Wisconsin-Eau Claire and the University of Wisconsin-Madison. So join me. We're going to head west on Highway 212. We're going to go for about 120 miles, is it? And we're going to Yellow Medicine East High School, home of the Sting, and their fine, fine band director, Miss Nicole Belter.
Good morning, everybody. Great to see all of you. Thank you for being here at MacPhail. It's a treat for us. This is great. And you heard, as you were all gathering, this has been such fun to work with students all over. And as Bob said, you know, we're like 120 miles away, and they're ready to play. So you don't want to hear me. You want to hear them and the fun we're going to have working together. So we've discovered in an ensemble setting like this that working right on with our fine director, Nicole, here, it works really well for us to bounce ideas back and forth, me to all of them, and then it's nice on site to have Nicole do some of the conducting. So you're going to hear both of us actually doing a few things here that we're going to do, and the song that they're playing is new for them. I think, Nicole, 3 times, maybe, something like that? About 3 times? Yeah, running through. And so this is a jazz orchestra song, very, very similar to the songs of Count Basie, Benny Goodman, Duke Ellington. And it's called Designated Swinger by Paul Clark, who's a marvelous like contemporary writer for bands like this. And so here we go. You're going to notice it sounds a lot like kind of the Benny Goodman Sing, 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 if you know that tune. So, Nicole, why don't we count this off? I'm thinking we're going somewhere around 160, so on 2 and 4, my 80, so about there if it's comfortable. Okay? Here we go, band. All set? Here in the studio back in MacPhail in our rock jazz percussion lab for everybody. Nice. And you know what? First of all, starting right at the end, Nicole, I really like the idea of having that, the fermata and then that nice little gliss fall at the very back end of this. Can we do that one more time? And let's really ham up those articulations. Remember, band, rooftop marcato accents like we've said, punched like that horn on a semi-truck driver. Bop, when they pull that handle, okay? So we want one of those right on beat one. Da, ba, do, 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 ba, like that. Just the last two measures. Here we go. Good, nice. Let's try it one more.
Because of these sessions, and it's been a really great opportunity because a lot of these music programs have been, in essence, hollowed out in a way. You know, they've been scaled back, cut back, and where they used to have 5 or 6 people in their music department, now they have 1 or maybe 2 from different backgrounds. So someone with a choir background teaching a jazz combo and understanding all of those instruments and how they work is pretty difficult. And they're at the end of the supply chain now. They don't have any place to turn to. So the opportunity to experience this with someone like Greg Keel has been phenomenal. So the feedback, not only from the teachers, the students love it. The teachers, I think, are really getting a lot out of it, and we're seeing great endorsement by the principals. And we're looking to have this program expand. And Paul, if you want to add anything to that?
Well, I think one thing, just open it up for questions. Anybody have any questions about the session today? And can even ask Nicole or any of the students as well.
It would be great to hear some of the students talk about their experience on their end of things. I think that, you know, we on the Broadband Task Force are big believers in this, but it's good to have validation from people who are experiencing it and what they're, in their own words.
Brave soul.
Hi, Cassie.
And a saxophonist.
Hi. Our band teacher, her instrument is trumpet, so it's just been really nice, like working with someone that plays your instrument.
That's great.
Yeah. Great. Thank you, Cassie.
Yes.
Thank you.
How about your experience? Would you like to say a few words? You dressed up for the performance, we see.
T-shirt.
I remember last year we had a piece with solos that we had to improvise, and they really helped us with suggestions and chord changes that we could play in the solo section. So it really helped out to have someone guide us through that.
That's great.
Excellent.
Thank you.
That's cool.
How often do you connect with the students? Is this a daily thing? Is it a weekly?
As a teacher, I can't even begin to explain how much this helps me. There's so much, like you said, I'm the only instrumental music teacher at our school district now. We used to have 2 when I started, and now we're down to 1. There's so many things that I need to worry about. And there's so many things that I need to know about. Even the refresher when your instructors are working with my students, and I'm sitting there listening, I'm getting new ideas. Plus, it's coming back into my head, oh, yeah, I haven't been working on that, and that's one thing I need to be watching for. And it's just like a refresher course for myself, too. One thing I really enjoyed last year, and I hope to do this year, is they give individual workshops with teachers. So I've actually sat down with Bob, and we've talked about percussion, and he's answered every one of my questions. I've sat down with Nina Olson, and we went through clarinet and saxophone. So it's been wonderful as a teacher to have that kind of clinic session right here in my own school, be able to do it during my prep hour and still be able to do all my other classes and not miss school.
Great. Thank you. Yeah. Thank you all. Anything else?
Matt,
Yes.
do you have anything from a perspective of an administrator?
Well, I've talked to Paul a little bit about, what this looks like maybe in our environment, but for me as a rural superintendent, this is about leveling the playing field that we've been talking about as a broadband task force, and it's difficult for me to talk about it because I get emotional. our kids can't come to MacPhail and experience this, but they can because of what this makes possible. And I was a sax guy, so the ability to work with, the ability for my own son, who does the same, to work with somebody of your quality is really exceptional, and again, makes this possible for any of our kids anywhere in the state, regardless of what their zip code is, and I think that's powerful. So I'm thrilled. I'm thrilled for those kids and that teacher.
Some of our so this in a way it's a very big pilot. It's a pilot in a sense, and we look to be able to do this really well and to be able to expand it. We have a long-standing relationship with Darcy Reese in Thief River Falls, and so if things go right, we'll start working with Darcy and Lincoln High School in Thief River Falls come next March, and we go back a decade or so with Darcy and so on. So we want to really do this in a way that can impact and help out music education throughout the state, and then see where it goes from there. And I see that Bob's got Pete Royer up on the screen from LCTN, or Pete put himself on the screen.
Hi, thank you.
And this is made possible through a connection that we have from MacPhail to a service provider called Heat Seekers, and then Heat Seekers is the service provider for the Minnesota River Valley Education District, and an LCTN specifically, Little Crow Telemedia Network out of Hutchinson. And so Pete is kind of the Wizard of Oz behind the scenes in between, making all the connections work. Hello, Pete.
Yeah, I just wanted to say it's actually Little Crow Telemedia Network and MRVED have a joint wide area network that we contract with local phone companies. We have 1,200 miles of fiber optic cable that we lease, and we do go out on our video port through OET and connect up with MacPhail through Heat Seeker. It's been a nice relationship because we're able to do it on a VLAN, so it appears like they're almost on our network. We do have a few issues today, but we didn't have those last year, so I'm trying to figure out what's going on. But it's been a great relationship for us, and we, during this time you were watching this wonderful band play, we actually had a class going to Spectrum High School in Elk River that we teach from Grove City, from ACGC School, and we also import Chinese from Intermediate District 287 in Plymouth to 4 of our school districts. So it's a two-way street to be able to use this technology not only for these kind of things and other video field trips to the Historical Society, the zoo, the Wolf Center. We also do a lot of video field trips for live knee surgeries, and autopsies are also very popular. So we do it a number of ways, not only day-to-day things, but we do a lot of
Better than in person as well.
That will be great in the report, the autopsy section.
Yes.
We send that to the governor.
Way to read your diversity statistics. 45% of the students you serve are non-white. And of course on the task force we're very concerned about the digital divide and equity. And I'm wondering if you could say a few words to us about how you've achieved that astonishing result.
Well, Paul's been here for 25 years. I've been here for a year. I think you've got a depth of perception on how that's evolved. It's been
It started off with it being a real strategic direction for the organization to become very community oriented and the whole community. And so we started to have a vision for MacPhail that just wasn't people coming to a building. And building was important for housing faculty and doing a number of services, but also that our services really needed to go out and be beyond just the 4 walls. So we started with the community partnership aspect over 20 years ago, and taking our programs to folks who wouldn't have access otherwise, geography, financial means, and so on. And so we started with 1 partnership in 1989, and it's grown to 72 now. And with that, kind of the whole mindset of we're here for everybody, and everybody should have music, and we want to serve everyone. We get a lot of support from the community to make that possible. So not only the partnerships, but $500,000 in assistance that we award each year.
And just to put a wrapper on that, we are a very different model than any other community music center in the country. The next largest in Philadelphia, as far as community partnerships go, has 6. So with 70, this is an exponentially different approach that we've been taking, and it's just been paying off big time with the impact that we're having in the community.
Yeah. So something like this then is just organically grows out of doing all the partnerships where we're going there physically through the metro area. This allows us to do what physically isn't as possible. Our experience with Thief River Falls for about 4 years was traveling to Thief River Falls, and staying in the Come On In is one of my favorite hotels in Minnesota. But that became economically not feasible. And so we can do this at just fractions of the cost and have 97–98% of the same experience.
So I think their class
Thank you
is done.
for your time. This was